I'm so tired of the internet. It's like got away from certain sites because they were so toxic, and then moving to others, but then people just move to those. It's like, even Twitter these days is just getting very, very, very hard to like deal with. I used to love going to Twitter and like interacting with my mentions. And now I have people who are interacting with stuff from like 2 years ago. Or like people are still arguing about Black Lives Matter and my tweets from last year in my timeline. Every time I go, it's so annoying to deal with. And it's all teenagers. It's all people who think they're fucking woke. It's all people who think that they have some sort of social standing. Ugh, it's so annoying. It's like, you're... Let's cancel Henry VIII. Yeah, for real. It's so many people who have... I remember vividly being a teenager when I first got into like social discourse. And I remember seeing some people who had a command of language that sounded so smart that made it seem like they knew what they were talking about, right? So they would say some stuff and they would like destroy people with words and logic, unironically. And they would just sound like they knew exactly what they were talking about. And I was like, holy fuck, I strive to be someone like that who has such a command over their thoughts that they can put it into so much words that just made so much sense and sounded so smart. That's what the internet is today. It's so many people seeing so many other people put stuff into words and thoughts that's like, that's exactly what I wanted to say. And they just put it into words so much better than I thought I could. And then they start emulating that everywhere they go, that they think that it applies to every conversation they're having online, that it doesn't. Like every conversation and every discourse is like a case-by-case basis, that they start seeing everything that everybody else is saying and they start trying to apply what X said over here onto Y's argument. And then it just makes no sense, but it sounds like they know what they're talking about. They don't back it up with anything, but they just have such a command of language that everyone's like, well, I'm not going to argue with that because it just sounds like they know what they're talking about. So so then people just start like buckling and start going under for these people who feel like they know what they're talking about. And it's all of this woke culture of people who feel like they have this sort of like grandstanding crusade in life, that they think they have this like projection of their life of like, yes, I'm going to heal humanity through my words. And half the time they're just spouting nonsense, but people are just too afraid of saying anything against them because they use their words better. Of course, some people actually have a conversation to have. Some people actually have something worth saying. Some people actually have a cause worth fighting for, but it gets drowned out in all the people who are saying bullshit. Like, I don't want to rant too much, but half the time it's just so many people saying nothing, but they think they are. And it's them coasting off these other people who have said stuff in the past and then trying to apply it to all of these like micro arguments because they just want to feel seen. They want to feel validated. They want to feel like they're making some sort of impact on the world as a whole, because as social media has progressed, it's made us feel more isolated than ever. It's made us feel like we're more insignificant than we've ever been. So people want to feel like they have some sort of argument online. And then they just start fighting every single fight that has to be fought online. And then somebody points out that their argument is stupid, and then other people start dogpiling, and then they're like, oh, I'm getting so much hate, and I just can't handle it. And then people who are anti that start fighting against them, and then it ends up being a mess. And that's what my Twitter is people arguing with each other, but forgetting to untag me. Like, I've made my point. That's my opinion. I literally give zero fucks about you guys arguing about this a year later because it's just so diluted that it means nothing anymore. And the music matches very well with what I'm saying right now. Like, just delete Twitter. Well, I really like the people that I follow on Twitter. I like seeing what's going on in their lives. And I like a lot of the, like, whenever I want to be in a Valorant stream, or a Valorant, not stream, a Valorant, like, lobby, or, like, setting up lobbies with other people, or setting up streams, like, Twitter is such a valuable resource to me. So I just can't interact with my mentions anymore. And I feel bad because I see so many of my friends and so many people who can't handle Twitter. So they end up making an alt account for like a place where people who only agree with them go to. And I don't agree with that at all. I feel like if you need to make a second account on Twitter to deal with Twitter, it probably means that you're interacting with Twitter too much. I feel like making more accounts on Twitter to interact with people the way you want to probably isn't the way to go. I don't know. Maybe that's just my standing of it. I feel like at that point, Twitter's just become too much for you, that taking a step back is probably the better way to go than like digging deeper into it. Because eventually then people find the alt accounts, and then they end up digging into those more and then finding you in a place that you thought was safe, and then you have to go somewhere else. Or people, then you end up making it private or something like that, but then it ends up becoming an echo chamber for your own opinions and people agreeing with you, and that's also dangerous. And the thing I've learned over the last like year is to just take a step back from it. And now I just interact with the stuff that's on my main timeline, because that's far easier. Like, people still disagree with me if they want, but it's just a lot more, it's a lot less toxic to go with that way. Basically, digging deeper into the things that are causing you problems is not the way to go. It's usually the opposite of that heals you more. Like, if I make an alt account where all of you guys who are here in chat who are like, oh yeah, I'll follow that, and then I'll just agree with everything you say, like it's all the super fans, like that's toxic as well. Then you're just making a space for people to agree with you over and over again. That's not healthy. Then you just have a warped perception of how people react to the things you're doing. Like, it's good if people disagree with you. Like, most people are just gonna say bullshit anyway. I don't know. How did I end up in this topic? These are the things that kind of like bounce around in my head, but it's so hard to talk about because I don't know, people are going to disagree or not. It's like I kind of stopped giving a shit if people are going to disagree at this point. Like, people are going to disagree with you anyway. So why would you try and hide in a place where people are only going to agree with you? And then some people's alt accounts are like hyper public, so then it's like, well, why did you make an alt account then? What's the point to it? I don't know.